Hey everyone, this week's Torah portion is filled with so many important lessons and stories, famous stories of the sale of the firstborn right from Esau to Jacob, and following that, the blessings that Jacob had to trick Isaac into believing that it was Esau because it really was rightfully his blessing that he should receive, but he had to wear all these special hairy costumes, mask his body but not his voice, and we're not going to get into that right now. But there's a little hidden gem at the end of the Torah portion that I think is a tremendous lesson for each and every one of us. So at the end, when finally the time comes where Esau comes back from the field and realizes that Jacob had taken his blessing and he really wants to go on a rampage and kill Jacob, so they realize, Rebekah and Isaac both realize that Jacob has to leave town, he's got to run away. Before he goes, he calls in Jacob, and he tells him what? He says, first of all, Vayivarecho, so he blesses him, and then he commands him, don't take from the daughters of Canaan. Don't marry a Canaanite woman. You're going to go out, you're a marriageable age, you're going to want to marry someone, don't marry a woman from the Canaanite lands. What's the lesson? Just seems like a very simple scripture that's thrown in there, but I heard a beautiful explanation, is that before one rebukes someone or gives them advice that could seem to be restrictive or something that they potentially will not be receptive to, you first need to display love that you have towards that individual. Isaac says, first let me bless you. I love you. Let me give you a blessing. And now I'm going to tell you, please don't marry one of those Canaanite women. Jacob, he needs that reassurance that Isaac loves me before he tells me this commandment. He knows how great Isaac is, and he knows how much he loves him. What's the necessity for the blessing prior? The answer is that a human being is a human being. And that's how we're hardwired. We don't want to be told what to do. We don't want to be restricted. And especially if we don't feel that the person has our best interests in mind. I think this applies across all relationships, but in particular, I'm thinking as a parent to a child. When we tell our child, you need to go to bed, you can't do this, you can't go there, you can't eat that, you can't play with this, and we give them all these restrictions, what is coming prior to those restrictions? Are we first showing them love and letting them understand that we're not doing this for our benefit and for our enjoyment, but rather this is the best thing for you? But before telling them that, we have to first show how much we love them. And then by doing so, when we give them the restriction or tell them they have to do something, even if they may not be receptive off the bat, they know ultimately we love them, we have their best interests in mind. So I think it's a beautiful concept to understand, is that to realize that show love towards another individual. Show them that you actually care. And it has to be genuine. You can't just make believe and throw a nice, loving comment out there, but really work. And a lot of times we do love them. I mean, individuals in general, but especially our children, we do love them. Let them know that. Show them that. And then we see from the Torah portion over here that they will be so much more receptive to listening to the guidance and the counsel that we're giving them, that we know ultimately is for their benefit. I wish everyone a Shabbat Shalom and a wonderful week.